Hi everybody, this is Eric Altman with Vodia. I'm here to talk about the ACD automatic outbound calling feature. So we're going to run through some slides here and show you guys how to use this. Hopefully you knew about it, but if you didn't know about it, this is another great feature that you can offer to your customers. So today we'll be talking about some of the use cases that can be used for this outbound calling. We'll show you how it's set up on the Vodia platform, how it's run, executing that calling campaign, and then the status of those calls and managing that list of the people that you're calling. And we'll look at some of the analytics that are set there for the agent groups. So we'll take a look at that as well. So some of the use cases, why would you use this outbound calling? And in case any of you are just wondering what this is about, I mean, the outbound calling campaign is a way to set it up so that the system will actually dial the numbers for you. So basically you can have the system making those calls and then feeding them to agents if they're available so that they can continue in that outbound calling campaign. So why would somebody use something like that? Appointment reminder. So you have a list of people you want to remind about an appointment. Again, once you initiate that campaign, it's going to start calling them and you'll have the agents there that will say, hey, you know, we just wanted to remind you, you have this appointment tomorrow or whatever it might be. And that's great for medical offices. Obviously, appointments are being set. Delivery services, I think of things like, you know, the cable guy coming out or something like that. You know, there's a lot of those types of things where they can call about an appointment that they want to remind them about. Utility services, you know, the heat guy, the oil guy, something like that. You know, if there's more than one that you need to contact, it's a great way to just load this list and have it automatically dial for you. Alerts, certainly with schools, severe weather that day, maybe it's a half day, so you're you know, just making a call to give people a reminder about a half day. Parent-teacher conferences have been scheduled, so you've got a, you know, a list of 5 or 10 of those that you might want to, you know, contact them to let them know that everything's scheduled, or maybe even a delayed opening. I know here in Massachusetts, you know, we get that severe weather. They don't want to close school all the time, so they'll, you know, have a delayed opening of an hour or two. So that's another reason where you could use this to make calls and let people know about that. Notification, so when we're talking about work, same idea. You know, if there's severe weather and that may cause a change of schedule, you can again load that list up and let people know about that. If there are any issues with the building, getting into the building, or something's wrong there, again, let people know. Any events that are coming up, you know, announcements and reminders, those could be used as well. And probably more than anything, marketing campaigns. I mean, that's when you think of a calling campaign, at least in my mind, that's what I think of is a marketing campaign to tell people about a new product, special pricing deals on existing products, promotions that are going on. So certainly with a marketing campaign, again, load that list and the system will just dial it for you. And these are just the ones that I thought of. I mean, there's probably a bunch of other use cases. Anytime where you got to call more than one person and you want to save some time and have the system do the dialing instead of your agents doing the dialing, and then just be delivered those calls that the system dials, it's a great way to do that with this outbound calling. So setting it up. So when you want to set this up on a Vodia system, you're going to go to the domain itself and you're going to go to agent groups. So the first thing you would do is just create an agent group account that'll be handling those calls. So you can see that right here. When you're creating an agent group, all you're basically doing is giving it an account number or name and how the name's going to display. So once you've created that group, you're going to go ahead and click on that group so that you can open it up for editing and configuring that actual agent group. Once you've opened it up, and it'll look kind of, well, I don't show what that looks like, but once you open up, you will see this file menu across the top of the page. You can kind of see that right here, and you're going to choose outbound calling. Once you choose outbound calling, down here is what that's going to look like. Here, hold on, let me just see if I can scroll it up. But either way, you're looking at a list here where you'd have the name, the number, the status, you know, where they reached, the attempts, and the last call time. So that's just through that file menu at the top by clicking outbound calling. Now, once you're there, you want to click the add button. And the add button will allow you to now add numbers for outbound calling. So a dialog box opens up. It gives you a little example of how you're going to fill this out. and you go ahead and just put those numbers in the list, and they'll show up down here in that list once you've created them. You also want to make sure there's a little button over here, outbound calling disabled. You want to make sure that's set to no, because we do want to allow outbound calling, obviously, for this campaign. And then while you're still in the domain, you're going to navigate to advanced and star codes. Okay, and once you're in the star code section, you want to go down to call center section of the star codes, and you'll see something that says ACD outbound calling. Should already be preset at star 55, but if it's not, just go ahead and set that to star 55. And that just means that when you want to initiate this campaign, that's how you're going to initiate it, with that star code. So when ready to initiate it, on your keypad, you press that star 55 and the account number for the queue. So if the queue was extension 100, to start that campaign, I'd go ahead and put star 55 100, and that will tell the system that this agent group is now going to participate in this campaign. So the first agent is prompted to press 1 to call the list, and once they press 1, the first number is dialed. So that's kind of getting the campaign started. Now I'm talking to somebody, and the campaign's begun. So once it's begun, the PBX is going to look for an available agent in the queue. When it finds that available agent, it immediately and automatically sends the next call to that available agent. As far as the way they're distributed, it's going to be distributed in the same order as an inbound call would be distributed. So for that agent group, you may have it so that when calls come in, it's always going to go Joe, Bill, Betty, as far as who's going to answer those calls. So the same thing is going to be true on this outbound calling campaign. So, Joe makes the initial call. It's going to see if Bill's available, send him the next call. If he's not, it's going to go to Betty. If you have it set a different way, randomly, or like the longest idle, then it will follow that as far as distributing these outbound calls. So it makes the dial and then sends the call to the available agent, the next one on the list. Now, if no trunks are available or a concurrent call limitation has been reached, the system's going to wait to process the next call. So it's not just dialing for no one. It needs to make sure that there is an agent to handle that call that it's making that outbound call to at that time. And then, so once you've done a successful call, you've talked to somebody, it's been connected, the status column, as you see down here, next to that is going to show an OK. And if the campaign is rerun, the PBX will not attempt to call those marked with an OK status. So it sees that those have already been contacted and will skip over those in the list if you decide to just run the whole campaign again. You can do that, and the list can be the same, because it's going to look at those OKs, and once it sees those, it'll just skip over those and not make those calls. Now, you can also, in managing this list, if you select the checkbox next to those entries and you click reset, those with an OK status would be called again. Okay, so if you want to, even though they've been contacted once, I want to rerun the whole campaign and I want to call everybody again, you can just reset, and there's a little reset button right down here, and just check the box next to John Glenn, hit reset, and now he's going to be called just like everybody else. And also, if you want to just get rid of them, because again, by doing it with the OK status, we're keeping that whole list intact, and we're saying, okay, rerun the campaign, but it skips over the OKs. But you also have the ability to just delete those ones. Hey, if it's got an OK next to it and they've already been called, I want to run the campaign again, I don't even want these guys on the list, you can go ahead and check the box next to them, hit delete, and it'll delete those from the list. And this is just a slide showing you guys about the agent performance analytics and the call quality. So you're going to add a manager queue so that you can go ahead and monitor all these different types of analytics. You can see agent group performance. You can monitor multiple agent groups, whether that's for inbound or outbound. You can have all those up here with the pie graphs and all of that to see call history by the hour. You're going to see analytics for that group. It can even be pumped to a wallboard, for a call center situation. If everybody needs to see that, you can put all this information up there. And it's going to show your live calls. So a manager just walking by, if there's a wallboard up there, could see this campaign going on, could see inbound calls coming, could see if people are queued. They're going to see all the live calls as well as statistics on, the calls that have been made or received for that call center. And short and brief there, but that's basically what this feature is about. We wanted to make sure that that you all understood how to set it up, how to run it, and that it was even there. You know, I think a lot of our service providers out there weren't even aware that we had this option. So now you know it's there and it's built in. Create the agent group, create the campaign, and you know, just get running with the star code, and you're good to go. And hey, subscribe to our YouTube channel. We have this. We'll have this webinar up there, as well as 20+ other webinars talking about different features. So all that's there on the Vodia YouTube channel. We definitely recommend that you all get on there and follow that. And this way you can see these webinars. If you happen to miss any of them, you can go back and grab them at any time and look at those. So you know. Go for that if you can, and if you have any suggestions for future webinars, same thing. You know, let us know, because we'd love to run these webinars on things like this, on you know, features that maybe not everybody is aware of. So if you would like to see a webinar on how to set something up, or you know, the benefits of a certain feature of our system, please let us know. You can email us, sales@vodia.com. A few of us will get that, and we can, you know, look through your suggestions and absolutely run a webinar on those features as well. We'll probably be doing these webinars at least once a month, and maybe even twice a month if we get enough requests for specific features to talk about. And that kind of concludes what I had for today, but I do want to open it up for questions. We're going to go ahead and do that through chat. So if anybody's got any questions, they can just go ahead and type it into the chat window there. And I will happily answer those questions for you. So feel free to go ahead and ask any questions about today's webinar, or anything for that matter that's Vodia related. Anybody's got anything out there? I know there's quite a few of you on here, according to my statistics. So, all right, can the call list be uploaded, or is it only typed in? Currently, that is a type in. You're going to have to enter those one at a time, unless
CSV, and then do a CSV if they want.
Oh, you can. Oh, okay. So someone's telling me yes, you can actually upload it with a CSV file. So if you want to do it through the CSV file and then upload that, you can do that rather than doing it one at a time. Somebody's asking, what version will this be on? It's on, I don't know if I could say every version, but it's certainly on any current version that you guys are running out there. Again, just go into the agent groups, you'll see that outbound calling section, and you'll be able to do that. All right, so I've got a question. Can it play a .wav file and hang up? It's a good question. I mean, it's not set to do it that way. I'm just trying to think if there's a way you could kind of finagle that. Because remember, what it's doing here is this is not one of those automated ones where it just, you know, you can type in text-to-speech and then it just says that. I mean, this is looking for a live agent. So if there's a way you could finagle that live agent somehow initiates a WAV file, again, I can't say that it can be done that way unless you're ingenious enough to figure it out. Okay, 56.0, I think you're asking if the outbound calling was available in 56.0, which it was and is. I have a suggestion for another webinar: set up redundant server, or even better, expand current documentation to include this section. Okay, point taken as far as the documentation goes, and as far as the suggestion for another webinar. That is something that comes up a fair amount. You know, we do give you that redundant license at no charge, so I think that's a good one, and we'll probably be doing a webinar on that in the near future. Okay, the next one I've got is the call and agent history analytics for the day, or can we see past days, weeks, and months in that analytics section?
24 hours.
It's just a 24-hour view. in the analytics section. So that's what you're looking at there. I mean, there are reports that can be run on the system, not specific agent group reports, but certainly calling reports and CDR type of reports that can be run for any type of historical analysis. Next question was, will the system send a call to an agent if a voicemail is the one that answers? The system is sending the call ringing, I believe. So it's not going to know if there's a voicemail. Basically, it's making the dial. It's looking for that agent, first of all. So it sees that there's the next agent is available. So it goes ahead and dials the call and sends the call off to that agent in the ringing status.
Also, the agent has to be logged in.
And yes, and someone just mentioned, obviously, the agent does have to be logged in so that it knows that that's the next agent to send that call to. But again, it's not waiting for the call to answer. It is dialing your list. It's just replacing you having to dial it and distributing those calls amongst a number of people rather than one person sitting there with a list and just dialing each one separately. So it's going to send those calls immediately as they're ringing.
We can say it's traditional calls campaign.
And that's kind of traditionally the way an outbound campaign would be run. That's a good question. So this one says, what if instead of ringing, there's a busy signal?
There's a busy signal and what?
So that,
busy.
Okay. So the answer to that, what if instead of ringing we have a busy signal? The PBX will actually terminate the call on the busy signal. So it'll send an error code and go ahead and terminate the call. So that will not be sent to an agent if it's busy. If that is dialed and immediately busy, it's going to go ahead and terminate that call and then go on to the next. I know there were a bunch who kind of joined halfway through or late, and this was a pretty quick webinar. So, don't be shy to ask a question that I might have already covered. Again, that chat window's open. So if somebody came in late and maybe missed the one thing they wanted to see and have a question about it, again, feel free to throw it in the chat window. Any other questions, again, throw them up there. I did get a comment on the person who asked the question about, instead of ringing, we have the busy, and told them how it will be terminated, and said that makes the campaign more efficient. Agreed. Default ring time, somebody's asking, what is the default ring time for the customer? Again, this is just making the call and sending it to the agent ringing. So really, we don't have control over that amount of ring time. It's whatever's on the receiving end, as far as whether it's going to go to their voicemail or just timeout. But yeah, so there is no default ring time to set because we're just making the dial and sending the call ringing over to the agent. So there's no specific amount. Some may ring twice and somebody answers. Some may ring 4 times and it goes to voicemail. As long as it's ringing, we're sending it over. And maybe on their side, their PBX is defining the ring durations. Okay, the next question says, do the calls go outbound one at a time until all agents are on calls, then on agent hang up, it launches another call?
Yes.
Yes, basically that's what's going on. Again, as far as the system knows, it's just saying, okay, the list has been initiated, they press *55, start making calls, and it's going to make those calls as long as it can find an available agent. So they're going outbound. That one goes outbound, but as soon as that one is sent, that first call is sent, it immediately looks and says, oh, okay, the next agent's available, let's make the second call. So they're going to go outbound one at a time. So it's not necessarily that on an agent hang up, it launches another call. It just continues to launch those calls as long as the agents in that order that was defined, that distribution order, if they're available, then it'll continue to make the calls. And if they're not available, again, it'll go to the next agent in that order and send the call to them. Good point just brought up. So all of the agents who are participating in this campaign do have to dial *55. So it's going to be kind of like, hey, at 2 o'clock, we're doing this calling campaign. So you 4 agents, need to hit *55 so that you'll be included. So if they don't hit *55, then it's only going to have that one guy, the first guy who started it, to send the calls to. If all the agents hit star 55, then again, it's going to go right through that distribution list as it would on an inbound call, the same order, and send the calls to each agent that's pressed star 55 to initiate the campaign. So a very important point. Does the agent see the name of the person called? Yes, they would see the name of the person called, because when you create that list, you're putting in both a number and a name. So they're going to, you know, if you put in a number and you say that's Joe Schmo, then they're going to see Joe Schmo on their phone. All right, I don't see any other questions. Again, if anybody who came in late has any questions, you know, feel free to throw them up there. But also be aware that this is going to be on our YouTube channel probably within 24 hours. So anybody wants to get more information or view this again, you know, feel free to go there and check it out there. All right, well, I appreciate everybody's time today. We had some good questions. Hopefully this will help you in your sales. Just another you know, bullet in your holster or whatever, just something to potentially use, especially when you're selling to a customer who might be running marketing campaigns, or a school, or really anybody. But certainly there are some that would be, you know, hot buttons where it would make sense to mention this as a feature that's included for no additional charge, automatic dialing. So again, appreciate everybody's time today. Feel free to check this out on our YouTube channel, and have a great day. Thank you.